The first stake appeared at 6:47 a.m., hammered into the dew-soaked grass with the precision of a sniper's shot. Daniel Harper, 42, senior systems analyst, still in the faded NASA t-shirt he'd slept in, stood barefoot on his front porch clutching a stainless steel travel mug that had gone cold 20 minutes earlier. The orange plastic flag fluttered like a surrender demand in reverse. By 7:03, a second stake pierced the earth beside his daughter's faded chalk hopscotch grid. By 7:15, a third stake skewered the root ball of the endless summer hydrangea he'd babied through 3 Zone 6 winters. Daniel's corner lot, Lot 1. Block A, Willow Creek Estates Phase 2, sprawled a generous 0.52 acres, the largest in the subdivision because the developer had needed a buffer between the cul-de-sac and the county drainage easement. He had paid a 22% premium for that buffer 5 years earlier, closing the day his divorce finalized, trading a downtown condo for quiet and a yard big enough for Lily's swing set. The swing set, cedar, A-frame, 2 swings, 1 trapeze, now sat directly in the path of a dotted line spray-painted in neon orange across his lawn. A white pickup idled at the curb, engine ticking as it cooled. The driver, a sunburned man in a reflective vest, consulted a tablet, then drove another stake near the mailbox. Daniel descended the porch steps, coffee sloshing over the rim. The man never looked up. By the time Daniel reached the sidewalk, the truck had vanished, leaving only the rhythmic thunk-thunk-thunk of metal on soil echoing in his ears. Inside, the kitchen island became ground zero. Daniel photographed each stake from 4 angles, time-stamped, GPS tagged. He measured distances, 4.2 feet from the mailbox, 11.7 from the hydrangea, 23.1 from the swing set's left support post. He uploaded everything to a cloud folder labeled HOA Invasion Day 1. Lily, 8 years old and obsessed with forensic shows, watched from the breakfast bar. Serial forgotten. At 8:42 a.m., the laminated notice appeared, taped to the front door with enough clear packing tape to survive a hurricane. Bold black letters, Willow Creek Homeowners Association, Notice of Proposed Community Improvement, Access Road Phase 1. The map attached showed a 20-foot-wide corridor originating at the cul-de-sac's dead end, bisecting Daniel's lot at a 37-degree angle, and exiting through the back fence onto a service road behind the pool. Estimated completion, 120 days. Owner cooperation requested. Failure to remove obstructions by day 14 would trigger daily assessments of $150 until compliance. Daniel read it twice. The word requested jumped out like a typo. He scanned the signature block. Karen M. Whitmore, President, Willow Creek HOA Board of Directors. Karen lived in the McMansion on the hill, the one with the 3-car garage and the fountain shaped like a peeing cherub. Daniel had nodded at her once during a pool party potluck. She had corrected his pronunciation of quinoa. By noon, the neighborhood app, Willow Creek Connect, exploded. Threads titled New Shortcut and Finally Fixing Traffic garnered heart emojis and clapping hands. Someone posted a drone photo showing the orange line slicing through Daniel's yard like a fresh wound. Comments. About time. Harper never uses that side anyway. Karen said it'll add value. Daniel's phone buzzed with notifications he had muted years ago. He spent the afternoon in the county recorder's office, a squat brick building that smelled of old paper and industrial cleaner. Public records revealed the HOA had filed a declaration of easement 2 weeks earlier, claiming the road qualified as a common area improvement under Article 7, Section 4 of the CC&Rs. The filing included a traffic study, 12 pages, single-spaced, predicting the shortcut would reduce gate congestion by 18.7% during peak hours. Daniel photocopied everything, the machine's rhythmic thump syncing with his pulse. Back home, the survey crew returned at dusk. Headlamps bobbed like fireflies as they strung yellow caution tape between the stakes, creating a corridor that glowed under the streetlight. Daniel watched from the upstairs window, Lily asleep on his shoulder. The tape snapped taut in the wind, a tripwire across his kingdom. He emailed the photos to Victor Lang, the attorney whose billboard promised, We sue HOAs for breakfast. Victor replied at 11:17 p.m. They can't condemn your land. Meet me 8 a.m. Bring coffee and every document you've ever ignored. Daniel printed the email, slid it into a manila folder labeled War, and stared at the caution tape until the orange blurred into blood. The board had fired the first shot. He loaded the printer with fresh paper and began drafting his response. 1 page, bullet points, no emotion. He would not roll over. Not for Karen, not for traffic studies, not for 18 stolen minutes a day. The caution tape flapped all night. A plastic war drum against the fence. Victor Lang's office occupied the entire 3rd floor of a renovated textile mill. Exposed brick and ductwork, giving it the vibe of a loft that had swallowed a law library. He greeted Daniel with a handshake firm enough to realign vertebrae and a mug that read, "Objection Sustained," spread across the conference table. The CCNRs, the easement declaration, the traffic study, and Daniel's folder of photographs. Victor circled clauses in red, muttering Latin phrases that sounded like curses. By 10:30 a.m., they had a plan. Step 1, temporary restraining order to halt any construction. Step 2, lawsuit for declaratory judgment that the easement was invalid. Step 3, counterclaim for trespass, property damage, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Victor estimated 6 figures in legal fees but promised the HOA's insurance would blink first. Daniel signed the retainer, the pen scratching like claws on concrete. The TRO filed at 2:17 p.m. By 4:05, a process server in a wrinkled suit taped the order to the HOA's clubhouse door while Karen watched from the parking lot. Arms crossed so tightly her blazer strained at the seams. Daniel's phone pinged with a Willow Creek Connect alert. Urgent. Construction paused due to frivolous lawsuit. Your dues at work! The fines began the next day. Certified letter number 1, $150 for failure to remove landscaping obstructions. Letter number 2, $300 cumulative. By day 10, the total hit $1,500. Daniel stacked the envelopes unopened beside the fridge, a paper tower of spite. He mowed around the caution tape, the orange stakes now permanent fixtures like ugly lawn ornaments. Karen escalated on day 12. At 6:03 a.m., chainsaws snarled to life. Daniel bolted outside in boxer briefs to find 3 landscapers in matching polo shirts attacking the maple trees along the property line. The first tree, a 30-foot red maple older than Lily, crashed across the driveway, splintering the playhouse into kindling. Sawdust hung in the air like golden fog. Daniel waved the TRO papers, voice hoarse. The crew leader shrugged, pointed to a work order signed by Karen, and kept cutting. Police arrived at 6:47, 2 officers who looked barely old enough to shave. They reviewed the TRO, the work order, the fallen tree now blocking Daniel's SUV. The crew packed up, leaving the maple bleeding sap onto the asphalt. Daniel spent the day on hold with insurance, then paid $1,800 for emergency removal. He kept the invoice. The neighborhood divided. Front yard sprouted signs. Support progress. Versus Harper Strong. Someone egged Daniel's garage door. The yolks dried to yellow constellations. Lily asked why Mrs. Whitmore hated their tree. Daniel told her grown-ups sometimes forgot how to share. Victor filed the lawsuit on a Friday. Monday brought the HOA's response. Motion to dismiss, plus a counterclaim for $47,250 in fines and anticipated legal costs. Daniel read the number in the office bathroom, fluorescent lights buzzing like hornets. He forwarded it to Victor with a single line, escalate. That night, he opened a spreadsheet titled Willow Creek Real Estate, Phase 1. Column A, address. Column B, owner. Column C, mortgage balance. Public records. Column D, estimated equity. He worked until 3 a.m., fueled by rage and Red Bull. The HOA had deep pockets but shallow roots. He would buy the ground out from under them, one deed at a time. The caution tape sagged under morning dew, heavy with the weight of what came next. Willow Creek's financials leaked like a sieve. Daniel discovered this through a Freedom of Information request for the HOA's reserve study. Saw 200 pages of deferred maintenance and optimistic projections. The road project had already burned through $180,000 in legal fees and $92,000 in consulting. Dues had jumped 42% in 14 months. Homeowners paid or faced liens. The first target, 1247 Sycamore Lane, a vacant colonial with cracked vinyl siding and a lawn gone to seed. Bank-owned since 2019, asking $289,000. Daniel offered $240,000 cash, 21-day close. The bank countered at $255,000. He accepted. Closing occurred in a title office that smelled of burnt popcorn. Daniel signed as Harper Holdings, LLC, a freshly minted entity with a P.O. box and a lawyer on retainer. He left the house empty. Grass grew knee-high. Karen's violation notice arrived day 9. Overgrown vegetation, 100-day. Daniel paid a kid $20 to mow it to exactly 7.5 inches, tall enough to annoy, short enough to comply. Next, 112 Maple Drive, a ranch owned by the Millers, both in their 70s. Medical debts stacking like Jenga. Daniel knocked unannounced, offered for $10,000 cash, $38,000 above asking. Mrs. Miller cried into his shoulder. He gave them 60 days to move, paid for Packers, and left the keys in the lockbox. Another violation notice. Another frame on the wall. The neighborhood app devolved into chaos. "Mystery buyer blight," screamed one thread. "Investor flipping us out," screamed another. Karen called an emergency meeting, attendance mandatory under threat of fine. Daniel attended, proxy ballots for his 2 properties tucked in his pocket. The clubhouse smelled of burnt coffee and desperation. Karen stood at the podium. PowerPoint slides projecting bar graphs of traffic Armageddon. She proposed a $5,000 special assessment per household to fund the road and defend our community. The room erupted. A retiree in a Patriots cap stood, voice trembling. "I'm on Social Security." Karen banged her gavel so hard the head flew off. The assessment passed 1918. Daniel voted no twice. As he left, Karen blocked the door, perfume cloying. Her eyes were red-rimmed. "You're destroying everything we've built." Daniel stepped around her. "You built it on my lawn. By month 6, Harper Holdings owned 7 homes. He paid dues religiously, attended every meeting, voted every proxy. The board's attorney filed motions to disqualify his votes. Victor buried them in case law. The judge denied. Construction trailers sat idle, wrapped in cobwebs. Karen's Escalade sported a new dent and a "for sale" sign on the lawn across the street, someone jumping ship. Daniel's daughter asked why Daddy had so many houses with no people. He told her he was collecting get-out-of-jail-free cards. The muddy scar of the proposed road baked under July sun, cracks spiderwebbing the dirt. The HOA's bank called the construction loan due, $1.2 million payable in full. Karen scheduled a foreclosure auction for Daniel's original lot, claiming $127,000 in unpaid fines. The notice arrived on pastel cardstock, as if color could soften theft. Daniel let it proceed. November 11th, courthouse steps, 10 a.m. A crowd gathered, neighbors, reporters from the local weekly, Karen in a camel coat 2 sizes too confident. The auctioneer read the legal description. Bidding opened at $50,000. Daniel raised his paddle, $51,000. Silence. The gavel fell. He paid cash to himself, lien extinguished. Karen's mouth opened, closed, opened again. That night, he hosted a barbecue in the empty colonial on Sycamore. No tenants, but 7 grills fired up across 7 lawns. He invited the entire neighborhood via paper flyers. Free food, no speeches. 31 families came. Children ran through backyards where fences had quietly vanished. Adults drank beer and swapped horror stories. The $800 fine for a pink flamingo, the $2,100 lien for unpainted shutters. Someone started a bonfire in a steel pit. Sparks rose like punctuation marks on the night. Karen drove past 3 times, headlights cutting swaths through the smoke. Daniel raised his beer. 3 days later, the bank froze the HOA's accounts. Karen proposed a $12,000 assessment. The emergency meeting packed the clubhouse. Daniel arrived with a banker's box of proxies. 19 homes, 48.7% of the vote. The assessment failed, 51-49. Karen adjourned in chaos, gavel forgotten on the table. Snow fell that night, soft and absolving, covering the muddy scar in white. Election season loomed. Karen announced re-election with yard signs blooming like plastic weeds. Daniel printed his own. End the madness. He needed 51%. He owned 48.7%. Victor found the loophole. Absentee owners could proxy. Daniel flew to Naples, Florida, rented a Mustang, and tracked 3 snowbirds who hadn't voted since 2014. Over key lime pie and condo balconies, he bought their homes, cash, quick close, no realtor fees. 22 properties, 53.1%. Election night, the clubhouse smelled of tension and pizza someone ordered to keep the peace. Karen wore navy, hair shellacked. Daniel wore jeans and the NASA shirt from the first stake morning. Ballots counted under Victor's watchful eye. Final tally, Harper 53, Whitmore 47. Karen demanded a recount. Victor produced notarized proxies, a stack thick as a phone book. The room fell silent. Karen's resignation email arrived at 11:57 p.m. Personal reasons. Daniel printed it, pinned it to the bulletin board with a thumbtack shaped like a house. He took office January 1st. First act, suspend all fines over 30 days. Second, fire the management company. Third, schedule a vote to abandon the road. The muddy scar thawed into mud again, waiting. President Harper's regime rewrote Willow Creek. He refunded the special assessment with interest from auctioned construction equipment. The road scar became a community garden, raised beds, hydrangeas replanted, a sign reading, "From stakes to stakes." The swing set got fresh paint and a plaque, in memory of unnecessary conflict. Karen's house sold in February, $42,000 below purchase. Daniel bought it through a trust, rented to a young family at 60% market rate on condition they plant tomatoes out front. They did, rows of Romas marching where petunias once feared to tread. Dues dropped 62%. Meetings tripled in attendance. People came for pizza and to watch democracy without screaming. Daniel served one term, then amended bylaws for annual rotation. He kept Lot 1, planted new maples that would shade his grandchildren. On the anniversary of the first stake, the garden bloomed riotous. Children chased fireflies between houses linked by gravel paths. Former board members flipped burgers, sheepish but relieved. Karen's condo had rules against tomato plants. Daniel stood on his porch, beer cold, sky vast. The orange stakes had become tomato cages, heavy with fruit. He raised his bottle to the night. The bear had not just won, he had planted an entire ecosystem where a battlefield once lay.